So now it's time to move on, and I would like to welcome the wonderful Dana Regev, Senior Editor of Social Media at Deutsche Welle. In this session, Dana will tell us about the magic behind tweets and provide us with tips to optimize our Twitter game. So how can freelancers use this platform to engage with their audience, to build a personal brand, to connect with others? So that's why we are here with Dana. Dana, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Yes, so I'll jump right in. I was just gonna say you should see now bubbles popping right next to my head. I hope you do. Anyways, hi, good morning. I'm Dana. I am here to talk to you about how to step up your Twitter game. What I do is that I'm in charge of the Twitter operation and the Facebook operation for DW News. That's Germany's public broadcaster. If you don't know us, or if you do know us, give us a follow. I think I'll quickly jump into what I wanted to tell you. And you'll be able to see from these little bubbles that as someone who's been doing Twitter for quite some time, both privately and professionally, I'm no stranger to criticism of the platform. So yeah, it's toxic, it's trash, but I need it, pretty much like carbs. Let's dive in. So Twitter, right? You can pretty much say, oh, why is it not working for me now? Let's see. Oh, that's because I went all the way. Wait, okay. So Twitter, you can very rightfully claim or have a lot of criticism about the platform. And I actually specifically want to start with that so that I can later contradict it. But you can rightfully claim, Twitter is seriously, it's just an echo chamber. It's a platform just like Facebook where I can only hear and read what I want to hear and read. There is no diversity of opinions. I mean, maybe there is, but I'm just not exposed to them. It's also sometimes quite difficult to understand whom Twitter is really for, because it seems like it's not really for boomers in that sense. Not that they're too old to use Twitter if we have boomers in the audience. But sometimes it seems like, perhaps for example, politicians or diplomats that are a bit older, then already they have their own team, to manage their Twitter presence. So, and Zoomers, Gen Zs are all over TikTok. So is Twitter just for millennials complaining about their lack of avo toast? So speaking of which, sometimes it just feels like Twitter could be, just a sphere for journalists and politicians to basically just amplify each other and talk to each other. And again, these are very valid points, which I will address in a second. And last but not least, you can really tell yourself, and really I won't be able to blame you, is that, people on Twitter are just evil. I mean, humans are quite awful in general, to be honest. So when you give them, the anonymity and a platform to express themselves, I would really understand if you're going to be like, yeah, you know what? No, I don't need this negativity in my life. Hell to the no. So yeah, after we bashed Twitter all together, you might rightfully ask, really, do I have to be there? Can I not be just a journalist without engaging in this platform? And the answer, of course, is yes, you can. But I'm here to show you that you might not only want to be part of it, but it could actually be a lot of fun. I promise. So first of all, also in the description of this session, it was said that this is not just a way for this is not just, Twitter is just not just a platform to share information, be it breaking news or other information, but it's practically your live updated portfolio, right? But it's with a pinch of personality in it. So yes, you have probably, as a freelancer, you have your LinkedIn profile, and you might also have your own personal website. I don't, right? But some people do. But Twitter is different. And if you've spent a little time on this platform, then you probably know that, right? Because it's basically your ever-changing portfolio, not only with the articles that you've produced or videos, but also with what you think about stuff and what is of interest to you and where you're from, because you're commenting on that, because you're tweeting that. This sounds like a cliche that should have been that we should have covered already 10 years ago, but in some media outlets, I wouldn't say which, no, it's still not always clear. That in the same way that we have decided that, or I hope we have decided that we're not, or social media's role in general is not to like lure people into our website and then give traffic to the website. Much like that, or I hope we all understood that by now. Twitter's just reaching people where they already are, rather than dragging them with extra clicks to where you want them to be. And these clicks are very are an expensive resource, and people are not giving them away easily. Another super important thing that, again, you probably know if you're like a savvy user, is that you're basically, when you tweet out in like various directions, right? So you tweet out to your peers, could be like potential like colleagues, or like, again, collaborative like journalists, as we've heard like before, but you also tweet to potential like bosses or commissioning editors, if you will. And you're doing all of that with, additionally, you're also tweeting to all the users. So this is kind of like, it's like a cool thing, I think, to do. And on a more personal note, as someone who both is sort of, a commission and editor, but also recruits people to the social media team at DW News, wink, wink, it shows that you're diligent and professional and that you're up to date. So obviously I am working for the social media team, right? So like I am like biased in that sense, or like I'm not working for any other, like, I don't know, the politics or like the culture or environment. But for the social media team specifically, if you apply for a position, or if you send me a pitch or whatnot, and I see that you don't have Twitter presence at all, and you're applying for something in social media, meh. Okay, so you might want to ask yourself here, like, okay, I get it. Twitter is all this like magical thing. All I can see is like trash, trash, trash. But like, maybe you can elaborate on how does it really do it? I don't understand. So again, speaking of something that we might need to repeat, is that social media is media. End of discussion. I'm not eliminating TV. I'm not eliminating print newspapers. I myself write for online all the time. But I hope whoever is logged in now knows that social media is part of this media, and there's no longer linear dominance of, we tell you via radio broadcast what you need to know. So obviously Twitter is part of that, and it's important to be there because of that. And if you want to get more specific, just think about, like, just take an example. I don't know where you guys are tuning in from, if you're in any European country or Middle Eastern country, or like, I don't know, like very diligent person in the US. No, but just imagine that something breaking is happening. You just got a very initial push notification of something happening, not in your hometown and not in your home country, but in a different country, let's say in Europe, where you have relatives or a lot of friends. So you know what, let's just take an example. Now I live in Berlin, right? But I have a lot of friends in Montreal in Canada, right? So what if I get a push and I see that there's like, I don't know, something going on, like a terrorist attack or whatnot? Where is the first thing I'm going to look for? I mean, sure, I kind of know Canadian media outlets a bit, but right, like I'm not very, like, I'm not a huge, I'm a huge Canada fan. I guess Canadians are cute, but so I guess I can go to Canadian media outlets. I mean, I can go to German media outlets in German, but I mean, they might take some time to, bottom line, you see where I'm going here, right? Obviously you go to Twitter, and you kind of ask yourself, or you might want to ask yourself now, would you be able to tell if a certain Twitter user, or let's say a certain Twitter journalist in Montreal, is reliable? And how would you be able to tell that while scrolling through their Twitter feed? And the answers that you now give yourself, this is whom you want to be in case something happens in your place, in your hometown, in your country. And I'm just like giving an example of breaking news, right? But it could be literally anything else. On the other side is like, where would you go to if you want to like sniff on a potential, a future boss or a commissioning editor, someone you're planning to pitch to? Sure, you can go to their LinkedIn, right? But maybe you want to see a bit more of that. Like, what are they tweeting about? What is like interesting for them? What's their voice? What's their tone? How should I approach them? Not to mention a future, peer, colleague, someone joining your team, or like Elisa said before me, like, what if you want to, join forces with someone for like cross-border? Maybe you want to check what they're tweeting about and how they do this. Are you like a good fit. So strange to like speak without being able to like, but I hope I'll get more questions like later. So, okay, you call BS and you say like, right, I got it, but like, how can I like step up this game practically, right? I mean, whether you're like a very savvy user or whether like a total newbie, like, what do I need to do? So I will go from the general to the specific. And yeah, you might be surprised by this first advice that I end up giving also to media outlets and like business accounts all across Europe, because it sounds very dumb and superficial, but this is so hard. So the TLDR is that your followers, they have to know why they are following you. They need to know what they're following you for. And the example would be like, let's say you don't have a bio, or let's say I don't have a Twitter bio and I don't have a picture, and you're always scrolling through my feed. After like a few seconds, you should be able to say, oh, she's like something about the Middle East or like Israel. Or let's say if it's you, if it's one of you, be like, oh, that's definitely a climate change reporter. Okay, so it sounds like, okay, wow, you have to pick one beat and just focus on that, and you're not allowed to tweet about anything else. Of course, that's not true, but you really need to know, or the users really need to know why they are there and what they're getting from you, both as a business account or as a media outlet account and as a private person. And it's not very easy. I mean, just think about how difficult sometimes it may be to put your CV into one document, into like just one page. Now think about putting your CV and your entire personality in 7 words. Say, that's how difficult this is. This is a bit of an explanation of that. So like, be consistent and be devoted, because this is how you get like really loyal audience and like followership. So by consistent, I mean, yes, like if you are interested in DIY fashion, then you have to be consistent also on Twitter. You have to tweet about it like consistently all the time and like on a regular basis, so that people slowly gain the understanding that you are an authority and you are a source if this is what is interesting for them. By devoted, I mean, and that like a lot of freelancers, but hey, this is our millennial faith, right? I am a millennial, if that wasn't clear by now. I'm sure it was. You might claim like, oh, sorry. So like, be devoted, I mean that like, let's say you are into DIY fashion, or you are into fashion in general, and you're tweeting from a fashion week or about fashion week because you're either there or you're very interested about it in it, and then you're taking a break of 4 weeks from Twitter. Yeah, that's not the greatest thing. Now, of course, again, that's why I said like millennial, you could be like, yeah, but I'm not getting paid for it. And this is something that I have to curate like all on my own, and it takes time. Yeah, I know, tough life. So be there when relevant things to your beat happen, right? Which is why I gave the example of Fashion Week, okay? Or for example, if there is an important climate conference, or if you are a Middle East analyst and there's things going on in the Middle East, as they tend to do, be there and tweet about it. And always keep in mind, like I said before, keep in mind the users that will consume you and like your content, and like will slowly develop, hopefully, trust in your material, but also think about future bosses and what they would like to see and what they would like, what will make them appreciate you as a user. Yes, I have a little bubble here. Maybe some concrete examples, please. So yeah, this bubble is like way too small to include all the recommendation I can possibly give you. I also think I like speaking a bit too fast, but I'm like really try to shove everything into 20 minutes. So are there any concrete examples? Yes, there are. Again, they could sound sometimes like really superficial and dumb, but trust me, they're not. And I have seen it all. So polish your bio. Make sure you have a decent profile picture and a decent handle. Now, by all means, I know there are probably also a lot of Germans like here in the audience. I don't mean that you have to give out your real name, although it would be better, but you don't have to give your real picture or like your real name over there. You can have some, just make sure that it's decent. Just make sure that your handle is not I love Pornhub XOXO, right? Because yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's like obvious, but again, you'll be surprised. So yeah, be decent. Another thing that again might sound very obvious, but apparently it isn't. But really do use Twitter itself for the tips on like how to tweet and what to do. Because this is the reason I chose this specific examples of the hashtag is because Twitter's own like help center clearly declares and says, please, or like, you know, in a nicer way, but they be like, please don't use more than 2 hashtags per tweet. You know, they say it themselves. It's not even something that is only for businesses or like paying or like verified. Okay. It's out there in the open. Don't do it. Okay. We are still seeing a lot of people or a lot of tweets with like 10,000 hashtags. That literally hurts. I don't know if people know that, but this damages your reach, your potential reach. So the more hashtags you add, it gives another advantage, right? But the more hashtags you add, you're hurting the potential of your tweet. So I don't know where people got the idea that they need to use like tens of them, which is, by the way, why I gave this session this headline. Speaking of hashtags, not only that less is more, but in our situation as freelancers, as freelance journalists, and as we are not, say, the BBC or, I don't know, Germany's Next Top Model, please don't come up with your own ridiculous hashtags to promote something that doesn't exist. Meaning, like, please, for now, use hashtags only if they are massively trending or if they have been massively trending in the past. Let's say Black Lives Matter, right? So this is a hashtag that, even if it's not massively trending right now at this very minute, we all know that this has been a very trending hashtag. So that's kind of like legitimate to use. But if I say want to tweet about this session on Twitter, maybe I shouldn't use that hashtag Dana Regev on EGC Live 2021. Okay, I'm giving these extreme examples because I know they are just a bit more understood this way. But again, I am working in a place that sometimes makes these mistakes, and they are, yeah, unforgivable. Try to keep a regular pace. It's kind of like has to do with what I said before a little bit. So like if you decide that you're only going to tweet once a day, that's fine. But then tweet once a day. Okay. Or if you're a person that is like really their entire life is on Twitter and you tweet like 100 times a day, that's great. But then don't vanish for like 4 weeks. Okay. So try to keep it regular. That's for the sake of your followers, but also for the algorithm. So like, yes, Twitter, much like Facebook, punishes certain actions. Really, this could be a session in and of its own. So just make it part of your day. I know it's super annoying. Again, I'm a millennial too. It's like, oh, another thing I have to do unpaid. Like, geez, thanks. But what can I say? Yes, yes. For now, at least, video content this is in terms of the algorithm. Again, video content is better than a picture. A picture is better than only text, and so on. Twitter, as well as Facebook, they're always changing the format of content that they prioritize. At this point, video tends to do, getting blurry, video tends to do better than pictures. But that is just to say that if you are at a place, again, say in Montreal, tweeting about a terrorist attack, try to at least take a picture with it. Don't tweet just text. Or like, if you can, just like take a video of it. Be it like, in this case, be it like horizontal or vertical, like that's fine, but just take anything. This is something that Twitter prioritizes. Much like with the hashtags, please, no attention-seeking mentions. And by attention-seeking, I mean, I feel like I'm quite bitchy, right? But by attention-seeking, I mean that if I wrote a piece for The Guardian and I want to tweet about it, and I'd be like, blah, 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 this is what I did. Oh, blurry again. Blur, come on. Okay, yeah, I'll unblur in a sec. So if you want to be like, yeah, this is what I did, yeah, this is my latest for at The Guardian, that's nice, right? But if I'm, again, like hosting a session here right now and I really want Barack Obama to watch it, or whatever, if I wrote something about Barack Obama, maybe I shouldn't mention them in the tweet in the hope for a retweet, because again, it shows. And if you're tweeting from a certain event, I'm pretty sure that the media outlet you're working for is following you, or at least they have you on their radar. So yeah, there's no need to like mention them at the end the entire time. I'll take questions about this afterwards. So I have 1 more minute. So to sum it up on the broader level, really, pick a topic and work to establish yourself as an authority in this field, really, no matter what the topic is. I mean, surely you have your own like tendencies, right? Follow and engage with people and with tweets that are relevant to that beat that you chose, right? So like if you want to be into like Middle East politics or into, I don't know, like fisheries in Norway or like Brexit stuff, just like engage and follow. I think it's quite clear with people and tweets in your field. Okay, that's also just like one way of getting noticed. If you can, try to establish a voice or a tone, right? So like if you're a bit of a sarcastic person, like, I don't know, maybe someone here in this session, don't know who, then like you can preserve that. You can leverage on that, but just like try to have it, try to be you, try to distinguish yourself from the rest. I know everybody says this, annoying. Tweet about and from relevant events to your beat. We said that as well. You're a journalist, so obviously you have to be reliable and responsible, and try to have fun in the process, because really, if you hate it, it really shows. And I guess now would be a good time for questions. Thank you.
Hi, Dana. How are you?
Hi.
Thank you so much.
I'm good. Honestly, I think I spoke in this like speed of light.
It was great. It was great. I mean, I've learned a lot. I have to say, I was taking notes. I admit it.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We will start with one question from Sebastian. Sebastian asks, how can freelance journalists who are building a Twitter brand reduce exposure to the toxicity on the platform?
Okay, that is an extremely good question. And actually, I should have elaborated on that now that I think about it, because I myself, whenever I tweet from, from like, especially from terrorist attacks, then I really get, maybe I don't want to repeat like the DMs that I'm getting. So you're right. To be quite fair, I don't believe in blocking. So I don't block anyone from like accessing my profile, as far as I know. But I do have extremely heavy filters, extremely heavy. And this is something that you can curate on your own Twitter profile. So you can mute people, you can mute words, you can mute, like really various things. And at the beginning, I was quite reluctant to do this, but now I do it a lot. So I really am, I'm reducing notifications of like specific keywords that I don't want to get. To sum it up, like, social media and Twitter specifically can be very toxic, but there are ways to reduce it and to make this a better place. And again, if you want later any question, just like DM me in this like silly little handle and I'll answer more.
Thank you for your answer. Let's see these questions from Leo Correa. Leo asks, how do you feel with UGC contents when looking for images from breaking news ongoing, also to confirm the authenticity of the content while the news is urgent?
Okay, yeah, that's also a very fair question. I have to say that because I am working for DW, at least most of the time, right? So we do use tools for verification. That could be a bit difficult when you are, like a sole user, but I can really recommend a tool. I think it's called Verify. Now I forgot the name of the tool, but there are free tools for this to verify videos and images from all over the web. And even though you're right, even though we're talking about a matter of like seconds here, these are things that could take seconds. For this, by the way, this is why I really recommend to choose like a beat and expertise, because for instance, I am, unfortunately, let's discuss this later, right? But I'm unfortunately originally from Israel, which means that I kind of know my ropes. And I really know, for example, how to recognize if something is really in Jerusalem, or I read Hebrew, right? So I can tell you if it's Hebrew or a different language. So even in terms of verification, this is like where you really want to step up like your beat and see like, I got this. This is something that I know how to verify. Otherwise, there are like free tools on the web. I'm happy to send them via DM that take seconds to verify, I would say.
We have time, Dana, for one more question. This question is from Jessica. Should you not use hashtags like climate change or gender equality that are not trending, but highlight the theme of your tweet and might help interested people find it?
So that I'm super happy that somebody asked this question. So like, thank you, Jessica. First of all, it's not like you should or should not, right? But I hope I have a little bit like time to elaborate. Like I don't, right? Time to elaborate on this. The idea is that like just every hashtag you are about to use, before you use it, click on it. Just like put it in the search bar and see what it leads you to. And if it leads you to things that you would like to be associated with, for instance, or if you see that it's being tweeted at a pace of like, again, a couple of hundreds like per second, or if it just connects you to things that you would like to be associated with, then by all means, like do it. But if you search the own specific hashtag and you see like, I don't know, this is not very, nobody really uses that. Nobody have ever used that. Maybe you can also find a related hashtag, something very close. Let's say like, again, like you said, gender equality. Maybe you can find something that is very close in topic, but is a bit different, right? So it's not like you shouldn't use this at all. You're right, you definitely should. But just do this with trial and error. I'm saying this because algorithm wise, yes, if you use hashtags that are like very, very niche, then Twitter will punish you for that. Not because of like, I would like to use these hashtags, but in terms of the algorithm. So my best advice would be check the hashtag before you're about to use it and try to find the one that is the most relevant and the most kind of like appealing to Twitter algorithms as well, that doesn't hurt your subject.
Thank you so much, Dana, for the advice, and thank you for being here today. I mean, I think that I speak from
Thank you.
everyone who learned a lot.
Thank you for having me. And again, any questions, hit me up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. And I think I can agree with Angela. We will probably all making notes, and we should be able to tweet like pros after this session.
Labdien! Buenos días! Bos días!
Hi.
Hello!
This is the European Journalism Center.
Since 1992,
we've been helping journalists all over Europe.
Now we ask for your support.
Join the European Journalism Collective.
And with a small donation, you can help us remain independent and sustainable.
So we can continue supporting journalists just like you.
And do even more.
And do even more.
And do even more.